Have you ever experienced that moment, when rage hammers against the inside of your skull, when the blood in your veins boils, when your tongue sharpens itself into a blade? The arrogant look on a man's face across the table in a meeting. That one sentence from someone you love that cuts you in your deepest place. Or those few words from someone behind a screen, someone whose face you've never even seen, that set you ablaze. We've all walked these roads. We've all tasted these battles. Striking back, at first glance, it seems like the most natural response. Fight fire with fire. An eye for an eye. But beyond that lies a far deeper, far more devastating, and far nobler path, the path of ancient wisdom. In this piece, you will learn 13 staggering strategies for overcoming difficult people, without resorting to a single punch, a single insult, or a single act of revenge. These are not the strategies of weakness. They are the strategies of iron will. They are a manifesto of inner strength, mental clarity, and the ability to rise like a mountain above negativity. Be patient. Stay until the end. Because you will discover that the only way to truly destroy an enemy is to build the greatest life you can possibly live. These methods are easier than throwing a punch, but they demand courage, discipline, and resolve. What do they give you in return? Inner peace, lasting solutions, transformed relationships, and a lifelong armor of invincibility. Are you ready? Are you ready to learn how to manage conflict like a sage? How to become the highest version of yourself on every front of life? Then remember this: your greatest victory is not hidden on external battlefields, but in achieving total mastery over your own mind and heart. Let us begin. Strategy 1. Understand the situation. Imagine yourself as a captain standing in the dead center of a storm. Waves lash the deck. Wind howls as though it will snap the masts. The crew scrambles in panic. But you are at the center. Like the eye of the hurricane, while everything around you unravels, you stand as an unshakable point of calm. This is the ideal state of a sage, preserving the clarity of the mind and the serenity of the soul, even as chaos swirls all around. Anger, fury, the urge to attack. All of these are natural, just as a storm is natural. But they are as dangerous as quicksand. They pull you into the depths of a conflict. They blind your logic. They turn you into your own weapon. The ancient thinkers taught us this. Our first perceptions are flawed. They are colored, distorted, and magnified by our passions. The reality you see is not reality itself. It is a shadow of reality, tinted by your emotions. The map of the person standing before you may be entirely different from yours. Looking at the world through their eyes is not endorsing their actions. It is gaining strategic insight. Where do their motives stem from? From fear? From misunderstanding? Or from an entirely different wound that you have yet to see? The real conflict is not outside. The real conflict is within you, the ancient struggle between your impulsive nature and your capacity for reason. When you examine the situation carefully, you refuse to let your primal emotions seize the reins. You cease to be a slave to circumstances and become the master of your own reactions. A spear hurled in haste nearly always misses its mark. Actions born of anger and incomplete understanding rarely achieve the outcome you desire. But when you analyze the situation with patience and composure, you gain knowledge. This knowledge grants you not merely the power to react, but the power to respond strategically, guided not by rage but by wisdom. Here is the radical promise of ancient wisdom. True freedom lies in understanding. When you see the situation with a clear mind, you can choose your own path by your own will, bound neither by the chains of anger nor the shackles of the need to destroy. Strategy 2. Set boundaries. Think of your inner peace as a sacred garden. This is the place where your virtues take root, where your values bloom, where your soul breathes. But every garden has its enemies: weeds, pests, uncontrolled vines. This is precisely where boundaries come in, not as walls to imprison you, but as fences to protect your garden. Just as a master gardener carefully prunes the weeds to nourish their precious flowers, you too must build your own boundaries with care. This is acknowledging that you deserve respect. It is knowing that you are personally responsible for creating and maintaining the conditions in which your best self can flourish. Boundaries are not born of anger. They are not born of spite. A sage sets their boundaries from a place of self-mastery, from the center of calm and clarity. Boundaries are defined clearly in your mind and expressed with a quiet dignity that demands respect. Not to punish another, but to protect yourself. These are the behaviors I will not tolerate, you say, not with rage, but with steel resolve. Picture a mighty oak tree. No storm can tear it from its roots, because those roots reach deep beneath the surface. Its strength lies not in its rigidity, but in knowing when to bend and when to stand firm. Your boundaries are the same. They are rooted in the respect you hold for yourself and for others. They offer flexibility where possible and display unwavering resolve where necessary. Setting boundaries is a profound act of self-love. It serves as a shield against the emotional turmoil that can so easily take root within us when we are wronged. By defining what you will and will not accept, you reclaim your power and create a space where peace can flourish. Remember, true power is not about controlling others, it is about governing yourself. Boundaries are the tangible proof of that self-governance, a dignified declaration that you are the architect of your own inner harmony, the commander of your own fortress. Strategy 3. Focus on yourself. The ancient thinkers understood long ago that the greatest battle is not fought against external enemies, but within ourselves. To neglect your personal growth by obsessing over your adversaries is to surrender the war before it has even begun. By focusing on yourself, you forge a weapon infinitely more powerful than any act of retaliation, one that is impossible to break. Picture a magnificent lighthouse whose light cuts through even the darkest storms. That lighthouse does not waste its energy trying to extinguish the storm. It does not wage war on the waves. Instead, it stands as a luminous symbol of resolve, unwavering, unchanging, faithful to its own light. In the same way, cultivating your inner light is the most powerful, most devastating response you can give to those who try to dim it. Every act of personal growth is a quiet victory won against those who challenge you. When you pursue knowledge, when you sharpen your skills, when you nourish your soul, you are building what can never be seized, what can never be plundered. Your happiness, grounded in your own efforts, becomes an unshakable fortress that no external force can tear down. The ancient sages believed that true virtue is its own reward. Living well, striving for excellence in everything you do, becomes in itself an unshakable source of fulfillment. Here is the irony: those steeped in negativity will find themselves unsettled in the face of your unwavering light. Your success, your joy, your peace, become a silent yet relentless challenge to their destructive way of living. Remember, the greatest revenge is not revenge at all. The greatest revenge is the quiet triumph of becoming the best, the strongest, the most radiant version of yourself. While others waste their energy in conflict, you rise above it all. Your focused determination transforms into a luminous energy that touches the lives of those around you, inspiring far more than any act of aggression ever could. Let your enemy witness your growth and find themselves outmatched. As you live your life in alignment with your values, as you wield a power they cannot comprehend, the world itself will become your ally. Strategy 4. Practice forgiveness. The ancient sages never viewed forgiveness as weakness. They defined it as the ultimate act of power. Forgiveness is a brave, deliberate decision to free yourself from the shackles of the past, to break with your own hands a cycle of pain that ultimately poisons your own soul. Picture a hand clenching tightly, gripping a smoldering coal in its palm. The one feeling the searing pain is not your enemy, it is you. Your skin burns, your flesh reddens, yet you cannot let go, because you have been convinced that releasing it is weakness. Forgiveness is the act of setting that coal down. It is acknowledging that holding on to anger inflicts far greater damage than the person who wronged you ever could, that it consumes you from within. They may continue down their destructive path, but you are no longer chained to their journey. This is not condoning their actions. This is liberating yourself from their control, from their shadow, from their poison. Remember, true power lies in our choices. You can choose to feed the flames of anger, allowing them to consume your thoughts, darken your perspective, and wither your soul. Or you can choose forgiveness, a cleansing rain that extinguishes the fire and prepares the ground for new growth. Forgiveness is like a muscle that grows stronger with practice. At first it seems impossible, the pain too fresh, the wound too deep. But ancient teaching showed us that our perception is malleable. With time and deep reflection, you can reframe the experience by understanding that the person who caused you pain is themselves imprisoned by their own destructive impulses. They, too, are captives in their own way. Imagine yourself walking along a long, grueling mountain trail, a heavy sack of stones on your back. Each stone represents a resentment, each grudge, the crushing weight on your shoulders. Forgiveness is the act of setting that sack down, of lightening your load. You continue your journey, but this time lighter, faster, freer, ready to advance toward a future unstained by the past. True freedom is not dwelling on the wounds that have been inflicted, but cultivating your own inner garden of peace. Forgiveness is not a right, it is a precious gift of liberation that you bestow upon yourself. Taking it requires courage. Giving it, nobility. Strategy 5. Seek outside help. Even the mightiest warriors sometimes turn to the wisdom of a strategist. Even the sharpest swords are honed on a master's whetstone. Seeking outside help to manage conflict, especially in the ancient tradition, is indisputable proof of strength and wisdom. True power lies in recognizing when your perspective or knowledge has reached its limit, and having the courage to admit it. A counselor or mediator serves as a guide, offering a safe, neutral space to untangle complex emotions and explore new paths to resolution. Think of them as a cartographer. They help you draw a new map of the conflict zone. A map that reveals hidden paths, undiscovered passages, solutions you never considered. The ancient thinkers believed deeply in continuous learning and self-improvement. Seeking a counselor demonstrates a proactive commitment to growth. It is about acknowledging that even the most disciplined mind can gain clarity in the presence of a skilled guide. This is the voice not of pride, but of wisdom. Imagine a tangled labyrinth made of thorny vines. At first glance, impenetrable. It appears to be an obstacle designed to defeat you, consume you, lose you within its walls. Yet a skilled guide with the right tools and experience can carefully clear a path you would never have found on your own, cutting the vines, stripping the thorns, showing you a passage that leads to the light. A mediator serves a similar function. They untangle the knots of communication, separate the threads that have become entangled, and clear the way for productive dialogue. Seeking outside help is not weakness, it is a mark of strategic intelligence. It is using every resource at your disposal to achieve the best possible outcome. Remember, even the legendary Hercules had mentors who guided him and trusted allies who stood beside him through his most arduous labors. No great warrior, no great sage, has ever walked entirely alone. The sage's journey is a process of continuous refinement. By enlisting the support of those who specialize in navigating human conflict, you equip yourself with new tools and insights. This is proof of your unwavering commitment to a peaceful resolution, and a victory in its own right. Strategy 6. Create distance when necessary. Ancient wisdom teaches us plainly, some environments are not conducive to your growth. Just as a delicate plant cannot grow in harsh, toxic soil, your soul wilts, shrinks, and loses itself in the presence of toxicity. Creating distance, when done with clarity of purpose and deliberate intent, is a profound act of self-preservation. Think of it as a strategic retreat, not defeat, but intelligence. A skilled commander sometimes recognizes that direct engagement is not the wisest course, and so repositions their forces, conserves their energy, and maneuvers for a greater victory. In the same way, there are times when creating distance is essential to protecting your inner peace and paving the way for your future well-being, and recognizing those times is wisdom. Ancient teaching holds an unshakable belief in the power of our choices. Choosing to remove yourself from a toxic influence, or to limit that influence, is the most tangible proof of the respect you hold for yourself. You declare, "I value my peace. I refuse to be a battlefield where another person's negativity takes root." This is not an escape, it is a declaration. True power lies in knowing when to withdraw with grace. It is about focusing on long-term thinking and conserving the energy you would otherwise spend locked in an exhausting, consuming cycle. Creating distance allows you to reclaim your time and redirect that precious energy toward relationships that nourish your soul rather than deplete it. Picture a magnificent bird trapped in a thicket of thorns. Every struggle only leads to further entanglement, further exhaustion. But with a wise decision, a calm, calculated movement, the bird breaks free of its bonds, spreads its wings, and soars into the open sky. Creating distance can be exactly this. A transition into a space where you can breathe, where you can heal, and where you can truly flourish. Sometimes the bravest act is to walk away. This is born not of weakness, but of profound self-knowledge and a commitment to building a life aligned with your highest values. Prioritizing your inner well-being is the noblest promise you can make to yourself. Strategy 7. Shift your perspective. The ancient thinkers discovered long ago that every hardship conceals within it a seed of potential. Shifting your perspective is akin to an alchemist transmuting base metal into gold. It is the art of transforming adversity into an engine of growth. This is not denying reality. It is gaining a vision that can see the hidden lesson within reality with the naked eye. Imagine yourself as a skilled blacksmith. The relentless hammer blows struck upon the steel of a blade are not meant to destroy, but to shape and strengthen. Fire burns, but that same fire transforms iron into a sword. In the same way, the challenges presented by difficult people or situations can forge within you an invaluable resilience, a sharpened wisdom, and even a deepened compassion. Picture an old, gnarled tree whose roots grip rocky soil. Its twisted, contorted trunk is living proof of battles fought against unforgiving winds and merciless seasons. Yet it is precisely this struggle that gives it its singular strength and enduring beauty. Your trials shape you in the same way, not to break you, but to sculpt you. Ancient teaching holds that the obstacle is the way. Ask yourself, what can this experience teach me about myself, my limits, and the nature of human interaction? Can you cultivate greater patience? Can you develop sharper communication skills? Can you build a deeper awareness of your own emotional triggers? Every encounter, even the unpleasant ones, can become a lesson in disguise. This is about harvesting valuable insights in the midst of discomfort. Perhaps this situation is forcing you to fortify your boundaries, to master assertive communication, or to release unrealistic expectations about others' behavior. Every challenge, whether you realize it or not, is a trainer preparing you for the next level. Remember, true power does not reside in a world free of hardship. It resides in how you choose to perceive it. By shifting your perspective, you reclaim the narrative. You cease to be a victim and become the resilient hero of your own story, emerging from every challenge stronger and wiser than before. Strategy 8. Strategic indifference. Think of your emotional energy as a precious currency, a finite treasure that must be guarded, one that exacts a cost with every expenditure. The ancient thinkers knew that some people deliberately try to provoke you in order to drain this energy, to feed their own negativity. Strategic indifference is the subtle art of protecting this precious treasure, of denying them the pleasure and satisfaction they derive from your emotional engagement. Picture a raging wildfire, hungry for every kind of fuel. It spreads rapidly, devouring everything in its path, consuming it, reducing it to ash. But what happens when that fire encounters a vast, barren desert? It finds nothing to feed its destruction. It falters, it weakens, and ultimately, it dies. Strategic indifference creates such a landscape within you, a desert that renders provocations powerless, that starves provocations of fuel. True power lies in mastering your inner world. It is the ability to remain calm, composed, and unshakable even when someone is pressing your buttons, trying to make you explode. This has nothing to do with suppressing emotions. It is about wisely and deliberately choosing where to direct your energy. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every provocation deserves a response. Strategic indifference fundamentally disrupts the expected power dynamic. Those who rely on provoking others are caught off guard by the absence of an emotional reaction. It forces them to confront their own tactics, leaves them alone with the futility of their efforts. This is not passive surrender, it is a deliberate choice. It is like a skilled martial artist who effortlessly deflects an opponent's blows, using their own momentum against them. Your indifference becomes a mirror, reflecting back the absurdity and desperation of their behavior, leaving them floundering in frustration. Let your inner tranquility be your superpower. By maintaining your composure, you demonstrate a level of control they cannot understand, cannot comprehend. This is the most dignified proof of your soul's unshakable strength and your absolute sovereignty over your own reactions. Strategy 9. Find common ground. Even in the middle of a stormy sea, there are moments when the waves subside just enough to catch your breath. Small islands of calm. Finding common ground is like reaching for those islands. It offers a much-needed moment of respite and the potential for rebuilding. Ancient wisdom discovered long ago that focusing not only on what divides us but on what unites us can open the door to unexpected solutions. Consider two warring nations, weary of the endless bloodshed. Perhaps a shared desire for the welfare of their children, perhaps a mutual respect for a historical figure, perhaps the shared fate of living on the same land. Discovering even a single common interest can build the first fragile bridge toward dialogue. Similarly, in your personal conflicts, finding common ground is a light of hope burning in the darkness. Our differences often command our attention, towering like high walls, hiding and causing us to overlook any common ground. But ancient teaching holds an unshakable belief in the power of careful observation and reason. Actively searching for these points of connection, however small, is like searching for a hidden spring in the desert. When you find it, it saves lives. This approach resets the dynamic. It offers a chance to rehumanize the person you have labeled as an enemy. Perhaps you both love the same genre of music. Perhaps you share the same concern for the environment. Perhaps a similar sense of humor could draw you closer at an unexpected moment. Building on common ground creates a new foundation, a foundation that reminds us, beneath the surface of conflict, that we are all fundamentally human. Think of these shared points as delicate strings. When touched with patience and good faith, they can play a melody of greater understanding. This does not mean ignoring major differences, but it may offer ground where solutions can be found, or at the very least, where hostility can be diminished. Remember, the way of the sage values reason and understanding above all else. Finding common ground is proof of both, a strategic move that acknowledges the complexity of human relationships. It is a small yet powerful act of optimism, a dignified declaration that the path to better communication may not yet have been cleared, that the door may not yet have been knocked upon. Strategy 10. Destroy them with kindness. Cautiously. When deployed strategically, kindness can become the most surprising weapon in your arsenal. It is an unexpected move that overturns the familiar battlefield and dismantles the enemy's every plan. But never forget this critical distinction. Genuine kindness must be rooted in self-respect and sound judgment, never in the desire to appease or manipulate. Imagine your adversary as someone lost in a dense, dark forest. They are filled with insecurity, primed for attack at every moment, seeing a threat in every shadow. An unexpected act of kindness is like a sudden beam of sunlight piercing through the foliage. It creates surprise, lowers their guard, and forces them to reassess every assumption they held about you. The ancient thinkers believed that virtue is its own reward. A genuine act of kindness, even towards someone who has caused you pain, reaffirms your commitment to your own inner goodness. It is refusing to let their negativity corrupt your character, refusing to let them drag you down to their level. However, this strategy demands a careful assessment of motives and boundaries. Genuine kindness must never become a vehicle for self-betrayal. If an action would lead you to compromise your values or leave you emotionally vulnerable, it has ceased to serve your well-being. The sage's kindness is discerning, not self-sacrificing. Think of it this way: offering a glass of water to a traveler scorched by thirst, even if they have spoken ill of you. It is a fundamental gesture of humanity, not forgiving their actions, but a stance that shows you refuse to sink to their level, that you operate from a higher plane. Genuine kindness can plant a seed of doubt in the mind of someone entrenched in negativity. It challenges their worldview, causing them to question whether their own hostility is truly justified. This is a powerful move from a position of strength, an act that demonstrates with full clarity that you are not the prisoner of your emotions, but their master.